What's up everybody, Supercar fan here from Mustang with the update number 51 on this Friday. So, what's new with the Mustang? Well, I learned a very valuable lesson about turbocharged cars this week that somehow I hadn't learned in the 5 years of owning the Legacy GT, which was also turbocharged. And that is that turbocharged cars do not like boost at lower RPMs. And so, funny little story as to how I found this out. I was driving on the highway this past week to go film a car review, and I was in 6th gear, doing around 60 or 65 miles per hour, probably I'd say closer to 65, on a highway that's got a little bit of an uphill grade to it. And so I was going, and you know, there was some traffic I was trying to pass, and so I will admit I'm kind of lazy, and so instead of just downshifting to get more power, this car's, that's one of the nice things, is it has so much torque down low with the turbo that I just floored it in 6th gear and you know, accelerated a little bit, and heard a little bit of what I'm pretty sure is knock under the hood. And then I look in my rearview mirror, and this all happened within like a second at most. It was extremely quick. But I looked at my rearview mirror and saw black smoke. Not super thick, but definitely thicker than normal. So immediately that told me, you know, basically, I mean, obviously I backed off immediately as soon as I saw it and totally chilled out and didn't even go full throttle the rest of the day because I was just like paranoid. But I think what basically was happening is there's this thing that happened, it's starting to happen more and more as turbocharged cars all have really tall 6th gear ratios to get really good fuel economy. This was never an issue with my 5-speed Legacy GT because at highway speeds, that motor was like revving at like, I don't know, almost 3,000 RPMs, just roaring on the highway, which, you know, it didn't give it the best fuel economy, but you didn't have this issue. And I think this issue first started coming up with some of the earlier Mazda Speed 3 cars, where it's like a low speed ignition timing boost issue, where basically what happens is, what happened whenever I was on the highway was the car was getting a ton of boost. I mean, obviously it wasn't spooling like super hard, but it, you know, it was getting some boost, and it was only at maybe 1750 or, you know, 1800 RPM, something like that. And going full throttle at that low of an engine speed is bad for the whole engine internals in general. I had no idea about this till I actually asked the question on the Mustang 6G forums. So basically the black smoke was the car going rich, because in order to save itself and, you know, try and limit the damage of this knocking and stuff, it just dumps fuel into the car to hopefully, you know, lubricate things and get everything okay, and you know, then shoots it right out the back. So the car just essentially went super rich for that split second. I didn't have my air fuel ratio gauge up, I was on my boost gauge, but I, you know, checked it all out, and you know, so like I said, I looked under the hood after I was able to stop and, you know, evaluate the situation, and everything seemed fine. So yeah, I posed this question on the forums, on the Mustang 6G forums, about, you know, why this happened, and they said, oh yeah, like, you definitely don't ever want to go full throttle in 6th gear in any EcoBoost car. Essentially, they said that a lot of the Focus ST owners and Fiesta ST owners that have been going full throttle in 6th gear, it actually has blown their motor. So thank God I didn't like blow the engine. I had no idea though. Like I said, it just never really occurred to me. I think I may have, you know, heard some slight faint knock in 6th gear at some points of going full throttle on the highway in the past year that I've owned the car, but never had an issue, never had black smoke or any kind of smoke or any kind of signs that it was bad for the car or anything was wrong. And I was like totally thrown for a loop whenever people were like, oh yeah, going full throttle in 6th gear, that's a good way to blow your engine. I'm like, what? So it's only for turbocharged cars, and in particular, I think, you know, they said that direct injected turbocharged cars, like all these EcoBoost vehicles from Ford and whatnot, this is a common thing. But it's just because 6th gear is so tall that, you know, it's a fuel efficiency gear. It's just for simply cruising, not passing, not doing anything. And so I've kind of had to rethink how I drive this car, because I really love the low end torque in this car, and I very often drive it between 1500 and like 2200 RPMs and just kind of, you know, go slow, granny mode, just kind of take it easy, and that's how I get really good fuel economy in this car. But most of these people are like, oh yeah, if I want to go anywhere on the highway, I at least drop it down to 5th or 4th gear. And, you know, around town and stuff, everyone keeps it, you know, well over 2,000 RPMs all the time to keep that turbo engine happy. And I just had no idea. Like I said, and it's just, you know, for turbocharged cars. Naturally aspirated cars don't really have this issue as much. But I think that, you know, this is just something that is going to be more common in all cars in general, just with the taller gearing with manual transmissions. You know, you're just going to have to be careful, because even with a naturally aspirated car, you have to worry about, you know, laboring the engine, which is always a bad thing when you hear that like grinding almost sound. That's never good for the car either. And so that's something that, you know, that was never really as much of an issue with shorter gearing, but now we have to worry about this. And you know, and other people that have actually been on the forums said that their automatic EcoBoost automatically kicks down to 5th or 4th if you ever want to like pass. So I think, you know, the automatic automatically knows that it needs to downshift in order to keep the engine happy on the highway. But I just always left it in 6th gear for the most part on the highway, unless I was really trying to pass someone super fast. I always would just leave it in 6th and let the torque do its job. But yeah, so interesting lesson learned there. And I'll probably do a separate video just as a warning to all people that own turbocharged vehicles, because I had no idea. I feel like I kind of know something about cars, and I've had a decent amount of experience with owning turbo vehicles, and I had never come across this, never heard of this in my life. So I definitely want to make you guys aware of it, but also I'm going to probably do a separate video where I say the same exact thing, just, you know, as a warning to other turbocharged vehicle owners. So anyway, but that's it as far as the update on the Mustang. So I'll send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is an exciting patent that was filed by Toyota for Subaru, and it is a patent for the BRZ STI concept. It doesn't actually say what the title of the patent is, but that is clearly what the patent is patenting. It's just images of the concept car, and we know it's just the concept car and not an actual production version, because it still has the non-production door handles and the non-production side mirrors. Now, I mean, those two things technically could probably be worked out for production, but you know, just for cost-cutting measures, it's assumed that it would probably have very similar side view mirrors to a regular BRZ and very similar door handles to a regular BRZ. So that's why I'm thinking they may just be copywriting this design so that, you know, the people that made the Rocket Bunny kit or whatever don't go and run and try and make this STI front bumper and all that kind of stuff to try and knock off the concept. That is my guess as to why they're patenting this, because I don't know what they can actually patent. Now, there's design patents that are often, you know, introduced for cars before they come out, but not normally like this. And so not sure what to really make of this patent. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, they're finally going to build it. And I have heard rumors from other sources that have said that there will be a BRZ STI made, but it's going to be only right-hand drive, only for Japan, and a very limited deal. I don't know if that's the case or not, but we do know that STI has said that they want to increase the brand in the United States here, not just have the one car of the WRX STI, that they want to have STI versions of Legacies and the BRZ and other things as well. So an STI version may come eventually, and, you know, chances are it may actually come to the States as well. I'm not sure if that's exactly what we're seeing here in these patent drawings just yet, but hopefully they do something very similar to this, because this is just glorious in every way. I still adore the BRZ STI concept and hope they do make it one day. Other Subaru news is they're teasing a concept of the new Impreza sedan that they're going to be unveiling at LA. Now, we just saw the hatchback last week at the Tokyo Motor Show, so, you know, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference between the hatchback and the sedan, aside from a trunk and probably different taillights and stuff. Otherwise, should be very similar in many ways, but all we have is a silhouette teaser picture. But from that, it looks very beautiful, and hopefully it retains that for the production version as well. On to some Ford news, and first some Mustang news in particular, and that is that there was just this past week, Ford reached an agreement with the United Auto Workers Union in regards to the Michigan plant and what's going to be happening, because they're going to be taking Focus and C-Max production out of Michigan and moving that to Mexico in 2018, and so the only two cars they're actually going to continue to make in the United States in the foreseeable future is the Mustang and the new Lincoln Continental. But they've said in this agreement, they've outlined that there are going to be some new vehicles that they're going to be building in the States. But what those are, I'll discuss in a few minutes. But first, the one thing that has been confirmed from this agreement is that there's going to be an upgraded version of the Shelby GT350 engine, which means I know a lot of people are thinking this may just be like a 2-year run vehicle with the Shelbys, and it could very well be. It could be that this Mustang, this different motor shows up in other cars. I know there's some people have been speculating on some version of a Mach 1 Mustang coming with a more comfortable suspension, less aggressive than the GT350, but with the same great engine. And so this is hinting at, according to this agreement, there would be performance improvements, and that the Voodoo engine, as it is called, the 5.2-liter flat plane crank, glorious sounding engine, will be getting some kind of enhancements and improvements. In addition to that, now we know that Ford's working on a 10-speed automatic transmission, and it just hints at other transmissions that are going to be made, new transmissions in some of these plants as well. So very interesting to see that. Who knows, what kind of Mustang these will work their way into, this engine. But awesome to hear that engine will continue to live on, because it's way too glorious to just only have it for 2 years. But the other thing that was hinted at with this is, like I said, that there's going to be new models built here in the States. And what those new models may be, and the favorite rumor for any time that this can be brought up, people bring it up, and that is the idea of a new Ford Ranger and a Ford Bronco, since everyone still desperately wants Ford to bring those two models back. And so what I think we've been hearing here is that according to an unidentified source that wasn't allowed to speak officially, the Ranger is going to be coming back in 2020. I don't know if it'll be based on the European Ranger or if it'll be its own brand new model, but with the Chevy Colorado just running away with the mid-size truck sales, I'm sure that Ford wants to get back in that game, and so the Ranger would be the vehicle to do that. Otherwise, as far as the Bronco is concerned, with all these small little subcompact SUVs that are coming out recently and crossovers, they could take the Bronco name and put it on something like that, and make it more of a car version than the original Broncos were, or it could be just like an SUV version of the Ranger, and taking it that direction, or it could be an entirely new model. Some people have already speculated that maybe Ford wants to challenge the Jeep Wrangler and kind of go that direction with something that dedicated to off-roading and have soft top convertible and all that kind of stuff. Who knows if they'll, what they'll do, but like I said, even the rumors are saying this wouldn't show up till 2020, so we have a while before we'll even probably see a concept if this ever does even happen. But curious to hear that nonetheless, and we can all dream in the meantime. Other news, now there's the LA Auto Show coming up next week, and we'll be getting a lot of official unveils. And there's a lot of companies announcing what they'll be unveiling at the LA Auto Show. The first is Honda has announced that they're going to be revealing the new Civic Coupe in LA. Now it'll just be the standard version most likely, but we will not see the SI or the Type R until down the road. But in the meantime, we'll see the, we've seen a concept version. It looks spectacular, and we're hoping that we see a large amount of these, concept cues carrying over to the production version. And with how good the sedan looks, I'm assuming the coupe will look pretty close to the concept here. But just a little bit toned down. But anyway, that'll be exciting to see them debut that. Some other stuff that may be coming to LA, maybe not till Detroit in January, but Kia has previewed the new Cadenza, which is their new large luxury sedan that's going to be, it shares the same underpinnings as the Hyundai Genesis, and so this is the new version that they're working on. All we have is these few sketches, but it looks great. And speaking, same company here, Hyundai has previewed their new Equus replacement, which is going to be, now I just talked last week about how Hyundai is making their new luxury brand called Genesis, and that's going to be a standalone thing, kind of like Lexus and Acura and Infiniti. And so this new car will be called the Genesis G90. It's going to be the top of the line of the Genesis brand, and then the actual, Genesis sedan that we know of today will also get a G name, probably G70 or G80, and slot beneath. But we have just two images here. It looks very Audi-esque, very Bentley-esque, very beautiful design though, I must say, and so very cool to see that. Also, this past week was the Dubai Motor Show, which had a few different interesting reveals. First is W Motors unveiled the Fair Supersport, or Fair Supersport, I think is how it's called. Anyway, this is the successor to the Lykan Hypersport that W Motors also made. That's the car that, of course, jumped between skyscrapers in Furious 7. And so this looks very awesome, and it's a little more common than the Lykan Hypersport, which only, they only made, I think, 7 of those, whereas they're going to be making 25 of these. They're going to be $1.85 million each. They're going to have a 900 horsepower flat 6 twin turbo 4-liter engine that's made by, it's a Porsche engine that's made by the Porsche specialist called Roof, and so they're going to be doing that for the this new W Motors vehicle, and it looks very similar to the Lykan Hypersport, though, I gotta say. I think it's kind of just a new version of it, essentially, but looks great nonetheless. As far as the specs, now, like I said, 900 horsepower, 887 pound-feet of torque. They said 0 to 60 times, 2.7 seconds with a top speed of around 250 miles per hour. But like I said, very rare, only making 25, but I'm sure it won't be their last supercar. Other news is Brabus has shown off some of the stuff that they debuted at the Dubai Motor Show here. The first is they took the new GLE Coupe, which is, the fastback SUV that Mercedes has just introduced, and turned it up a notch. So we got 700 horsepower in this car now. It wasn't slow to begin with, and 576 horsepower from Mercedes, and they just took it up to 700 with their normal upgrades of intake, exhaust, ECU, things like that. Anyway, 0 to 60 time is now 4 seconds and a top speed of 186. And so very impressive. They will also, if you ask nicely, they'll actually tune it up to 838 horsepower and a mind-blowing 1,069 pound-feet of torque as well. So yes, you can have them just as crazy as you want as long as you have the money at Brabus. So cool to see that. They also showed off the S65 Rocket 900 Desert Gold Edition. Now, they already debuted the Rocket 900 at the Geneva Motor Show earlier this year, but this Desert Gold Edition has as you can see, just a beautiful gold exterior, but I mean on the interior, everything is covered in gold that used to be metal on the regular beautiful S-Class interior to begin with. And so very elegant, and of course this car has insane performance as well, as you might expect. It just takes the already insane Mercedes-AMG S65 and pumps it up so that now with this edition, it has 887 horsepower and 1,106 pound-feet of torque. So yeah, it's one heck of a vehicle, and now it's covered in gold, which is awesome. Other Mercedes news is they, in regards to the LA Auto Show, they've teased the front end of the new SL class, which looks prettier than the older version, which the current model looks somewhat ugly in my opinion. It's the least attractive Mercedes, I think, in the lineup. But now, with this teaser, we can see that it has the same face as all the other Mercedes, which is a good face, but like I ranted about recently, just getting a little, I guess, tired at this point, I think, because every single car they make has the same front end. But anyway, I won't go into that rant again. Other news, though, from other luxury manufacturers, Audi has officially announced the price of the 2017 Q7, which it's going to be starting at $55,750, and then the top trim is around $65,000 before you add all the options in, which is actually, a nice starting price. But the interesting is, it's about $5,000 more than the previous gen Q7. But the interesting thing here is it's only available with the 3-liter V6 that's supercharged. There's 333 horsepower. They were going to be offering the diesel engine as well, but as many of you know, with the whole Volkswagen thing and Audi and their whole lying thing, they've decided to withhold the diesel version from the United States. No surprises there. Other Audi news, they've confirmed that the S8 Plus is going to be debuted at the LA Auto Show as well, and we will be getting it here in the United States, because for a while there we were a little uncertain if it was actually going to come to the States, but we now know that we are going to be getting it. We've already seen what it looks like, but it does look very good, and we know that it's going to have it's 605 horsepower now, up from 520. 0 to 60 times, 3.8 seconds, so it's right up there with all the other super sedans. They said in the States it'll probably cost around $140,000 as an estimate, but, performance in a super luxury sedan like that does not come cheap. Speaking of another vehicle that does not come cheap is the Mini Hardtop 4-door Carbon Edition. So, basically they fitted some of the John Cooper Works Edition things onto a 4-door Mini Cooper, because normally all the John Cooper Works stuff is only for the 2-door version, but they've applied some of that to the 4-door version. Now it doesn't actually make as much power as the smaller 2-door version, so it's only 208 horsepower versus I think around 220 some odd horsepower that you get with the regular John Cooper Works. It's normally I think 228, and so it looks very cool though, this special edition, but the kicker for me is the price. So I mean, they're only making 150 of these, so they're obviously very rare, very limited for those that really are into minis, I suppose. But the price for a 4-door Mini with 208 horsepower is $37,100, which, I mean, I know, it's a BMW built product, but still, I don't know, that's just getting a little high there. But interesting to see that. Other Mini news is there's a rumor that they're going to be introducing all-wheel drive to the Clubman models, and it'll roll out originally to just the standard Clubmans, and then they will eventually work its way up to the John Cooper Works Clubman, which will also get the all-wheel drive system that was previously just seen on the Countryman. So that's going to be great for those that live in the snow belt and want a little Clubman. You got it right there. And other SUV type news is Cadillac has officially taken all the wraps and given us all the information off of the Cadillac XT5 here, which is the new 2017 replacement for the SRX, which looks really, I think it's a good looking design. It's a very aggressive but more stylish and classic looking than the Lexuses and things like that. It actually cuts some weight. It's actually a good amount lighter. I think roughly almost 300 pounds lighter than the SRX. And it also has more interior room, so that's great. And just judging by these pictures, looks like a very nice little SUV here. And as of right now, it only is available with the V6 engine. There's a turbo 4-cylinder that apparently fits in here, and they've engineered it to work with this car, but it's only going to be available in China. So we only get the V6 here in America for an interesting twist, because all the other competitors like the BMW X3 and things like that all do have turbo 4-cylinder engines. So interesting to see that choice, but who knows, maybe it'll work its way in later on down the road. But either way, that's a really solid little SUV. I'm sure it'll do very well for Cadillac, hopefully. And some other news here. Now, first is another car that we've heard is coming to the LA Auto Show is a Lamborghini Huracan that's rear-wheel drive, which I think I reported on already. But the other thing here that is official from Lamborghini is that's getting some upgrades here for the 2016 model year. Now, they're not radical changes, but it's just a few little things. So the main change is that the Huracan is going to get cylinder deactivation, which will turn into a 5-cylinder engine, which is very interesting. I'm sure it's something you'll be able to turn off if you'd like, but that's just to help with the fuel emissions requirements, things like that. The other things, though, they said they've actually retuned the all-wheel drive system to give it a neutral and even more improved driving behavior, because, as many of you know, a lot of the journalists complained about how it understeered, and so hopefully they've fixed some of that. And other things, a few little trim things have been changed. There's cruise control and other things that they've made available, as well as you can now get the optional sports exhaust all around the world. There's a new high-end audio system, and you can even get new engine bay trim in carbon fiber, a transparent cover, and LED lighting for the engine bay as well, for those that even want to show off their engine at night, which is a cool feature, but very Lamborghini-esque in its design. So cool to see those little upgrades. Some other stuff from another Italian supercar company. Ferrari has unveiled the 488 GTE and GT3, which are obviously just race-only versions. They're not street legal, but look great. And some people have said it's kind of put the Liberty Walk kits and things like that to shame, because these actual racing Ferraris look really sweet, and I think really make the 488 GTB look much more aggressive. So great to see those little improvements there. And some other official news. Now, this is something we will be seeing at the LA Auto Show next week, but Land Rover, unveiled it early, and that is that they've shown us what the new Range Rover Evoque convertible will look like. And as you can see, it's only the 2-door version that gets the convertible, and it's a soft top, of course, and you know, looks exactly how you'd expect a convertible Range Rover Evoque to look. And it'd be interesting to see how well that sells, as, you know, Nissan has tried to make the Murano convertible that failed miserably. And, you know, so who knows how this one will do, but interesting to see that they've made it. I got to give them kudos for doing it at least. Another cool thing, the Infiniti Q60 Coupe was spied in production, guys, for the first time. So we just saw the concept that was gorgeous looking, in my opinion, at the Detroit Auto Show back in January. And so now we see what it looks like here. It looks like it's going to have a less aggressive front bumper, which was to be expected. But otherwise, it looks like many of the body lines and other shapes of the car has actually been retained here. It's just, you know, a little less ground effects and things like that to make it a little less dramatic looking. But looks really promising, actually. And, you know, we've been hearing that it'll actually may get a twin-turbo 3-liter V6 engine, which sounds a whole lot like a GTR motor to me. It probably won't be that extreme, but it'll hopefully have a good amount of power. And, you know, we're just waiting to see what they actually end up doing with the production version of that. But cool to see that they're testing it. And the last thing is that Porsche has officially rolled out some new updates to the Macan for the 2017 model year here, I believe. And so what they're planning on doing, it may be 2016 as well. I'm not totally sure. They didn't specify in this article. But basically what they've done is all the new things they rolled out with the GTS, many of those same things they've made options on the standard Macans. You can now get these sweet new LED headlights that look very nice. They have some new interior stuff. They've obviously updated the Porsche infotainment system that's you know, being updated across the entire Porsche range that started with the 911s and is now trickling down to the Macan and other vehicles as well. And you know, so it looks very nice. There's little updates, and so yeah, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So I'll send it back to me in the car. All right, so I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. Still pulls like a champ. So anyway, I thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next week. Take care.